Dr. Amanda Clark stood at the window of her quarters aboard the UES Harmony, watching the stars move past as the ship traveled through space. Her small hands rested on the cool metal of the window frame. At 35 years old, she had seen more peace talks than most people saw birthday parties. Her brown hair was pulled back in a simple style, and her blue eyes looked calm as always. The Harmony was not a warship. It was built for meetings and talks between different worlds. The walls were painted in soft colors, and the rooms were made for comfort, not fighting. Amanda liked it this way. She believed that peaceful places helped people make peaceful choices. Captain Jake Morrison walked into the room behind her. His heavy boots made noise on the metal floor. Jake was a big man with gray hair and worried eyes. He had fought in 3 wars and seen enough death to fill a graveyard. "The Zephyrian fleet is bigger than we thought," Jake said. His voice was rough like sandpaper. "Our scouts count over 200 ships waiting for us." Amanda turned from the window. Her voice was soft like a gentle breeze. "Numbers do not always tell the whole story, Captain Morrison. Sometimes the loudest voice in the room is the one that has the least to say." Jake shook his head. "With respect, Dr. Clark, these aliens do not think like us. The Zephyrians believe that might makes right. They have been fighting wars for thousands of years. To them, we look weak because we came here to talk instead of fight." Amanda walked to her desk and picked up a thick file. Inside were reports about every species in the Zephyrian Empire. She had read each page many times. The Zephyrians were tall and strong with skin like armor. The Korthak loved to hunt and kill. The Vrex worked together like insects in a hive. 12 different species, all united in their belief that the strong should rule the weak. "I have made peace with 17 different groups," Amanda said. Some were pirates who had never heard the word mercy. Others were rebels who thought violence was the only answer. Each time people told me it was impossible. Each time I proved them wrong. Jake sat down in a chair across from her desk. "This is different, Amanda. The Zephyrians asked for these talks, but not because they want peace. They want to see if we will give them what they want without a fight. Intelligence says they are planning something big." Amanda opened the file and looked at a picture of War Prime Kethvar, the leader of the Zephyrian military. He was 3 meters tall with golden armor covering his body. His eyes were yellow like a cat's, and his teeth were sharp like knives. In every picture he looked angry. "War Prime Kethvar has never lost a battle," Amanda read from the file. "He believes that all species are either predators or prey. He has conquered 47 worlds in the last 10 years. And now he wants to conquer us," Jake said. "Our colonies are rich and our people are peaceful. To him we must look like easy targets." Amanda closed the file and looked at Jake. "Captain Morrison, do you know why the Federation chose me for this mission?" Jake thought for a moment. "Because you are the best diplomat we have. Because you can talk to anyone and find common ground." Amanda smiled, but there was something in her eyes that Jake had never seen before. It was there for just a moment, then gone like a shadow passing across the sun. "Perhaps," she said. "Or perhaps there are other reasons." The door to Amanda's quarters opened with a soft sound. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Hayes walked in. She was Amanda's security chief, a woman who had served in the Colonial Defense Force for 15 years. Lisa was shorter than Amanda, but stronger, with muscles that came from years of training. Her black hair was cut short, and her green eyes missed nothing. "Dr. Clark, we will arrive at the meeting point in 6 hours," Lisa said. "The Zephyrian fleet is already there, waiting for us. They have formed a battle line around the space station." Amanda nodded. "A show of force. They want us to feel small and afraid before the talks even begin." "It is working," Jake said. "My crew is nervous. 3 ships against 200 does not feel like good odds." Lisa looked at both of them. "The crew of the destroyers is ready for anything. But Dr. Clark, these aliens do not respect weakness. If they think we are afraid, they will push harder." Amanda stood up and walked back to the window. The space station where they would hold the talks was now visible in the distance. It was a small metal structure floating in the darkness between stars. Around it, like sharks circling their prey, were the ships of the Zephyrian Empire. Fear and weakness are not the same thing, Amanda said. Her voice was still soft, but there was something different about it now. A wise person fears the right things at the right time. But weakness is a choice, and I choose not to be weak. Jake and Lisa looked at each other. They had worked with Amanda for 2 years, but sometimes she said things that made them wonder if they really knew her at all. The Federation Council is counting on these talks, Lisa said. If they fail, we could be looking at a war that spans half the galaxy. Amanda turned from the window. Wars happen when diplomacy fails. But diplomacy only fails when people stop believing that words have power. I have never stopped believing that. Jake stood up. I should get back to the bridge. We need to be ready for anything. After Jake left, Lisa stayed behind. She had something on her mind that she wanted to say. Dr. Clark, I have read your file. All of it, including the parts that are marked classified. I know about New Avalon. Amanda's face did not change, but Lisa saw her hands tighten just a little. New Avalon was a long time ago, Amanda said. I was a different person then. Were you? Lisa asked. Or are you the same person who just learned to speak more softly? Amanda looked at Lisa for a long moment. What do you think, Commander Hayes? Lisa thought about the stories she had heard. About a young officer who held off an entire pirate fleet while the civilians escaped. About someone who made hard choices and lived with them every day since. About a person who learned that sometimes the gentlest voice carries the heaviest words. I think the Federation chose the right person for this job, Lisa said finally. Amanda smiled, and this time the smile reached her eyes. Then let us go make peace, Commander Hayes. And if peace is not possible, let us make sure that everyone understands why. The UES Harmony continued its journey toward the space station, carrying with it the hopes of humanity and the quiet woman who might be their greatest weapon or their last chance for peace. In 6 hours they would find out which one she truly was. The space station looked small and lonely, floating in the dark between the stars. Amanda Clark walked through its metal corridors with slow, careful steps. Her soft shoes made almost no sound on the floor. Behind her, Lisa Hayes and 2 other security officers followed at a distance. Their boots echoed in the empty hallways. The station was old and built for meetings between different species. The walls were gray metal, and the lights were dim. Everything smelled like oil and recycled air. Amanda had been in places like this before, but never with so much danger waiting on the other side of the door. The Zephyrian delegation is already in the main conference room, Lisa said quietly. So are representatives from the other 11 species. They have been waiting for 30 minutes. Amanda nodded. Good. Let them wait a little longer. It gives them time to think about why they are here. They stopped outside the conference room door. Through the small window, Amanda could see the aliens sitting around a large table. War Prime Kethvar sat at the head, his golden armor shining under the lights. He was even bigger than his pictures showed, with muscles that looked like they could crush steel. Next to him sat the Korthak war leader, a creature that looked like a cross between a wolf and a bear. Its teeth were long and sharp, and its claws scratched marks in the table. On the other side were the Vreks, insect-like beings that moved together like parts of one mind. Their black eyes watched everything, and their mouths clicked and buzzed when they talked. The other species filled the rest of the table. Each one looked dangerous in its own way. Some had scales, others had fur. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4. But they all had one thing in common. They looked at the empty human chairs like predators looking at prey. They brought weapons to a peace talk, Lisa said. She could see knives and energy weapons hanging from their belts. That is against the station rules. Rules are only as strong as the people who enforce them, Amanda said. And right now, we are outnumbered 50-1. Lisa touched the weapon at her side. We could call for backup. The fleet could be here in 12 hours. Amanda shook her head. No. If we show fear now, these talks will end before they begin. They need to believe that we came here in good faith. She opened the door and walked into the room. Her voice was soft and pleasant as she spoke. Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Amanda Clark, representing the Terran Federation. Thank you for coming so far to meet with us. War Prime Kethvar looked down at her from his great height. His yellow eyes studied her like she was something he might step on. When he spoke, his voice was deep and rough like rocks falling down a mountain. You are smaller than I expected, human. And you speak very quietly. In my culture, leaders have strong voices that can be heard across a battlefield. Amanda smiled and took her seat at the table. In my culture, we believe that the most important words are often spoken softly. They require people to listen carefully. The Korthak war leader laughed, showing teeth like daggers. Listening is for prey animals. Predators do not need to listen. They take what they want. How interesting, Amanda said. Her voice stayed gentle and calm. And what is it that you want from humanity? Kethvar leaned forward. The table groaned under his weight. We want what is fair. Your species has spread across many worlds. You have resources that could be better used by stronger races. We offer you protection in exchange for cooperation. Amanda opened a folder and took out some papers. When you say cooperation, what exactly do you mean? Simple, Kethvar said. You give us 3 of your colony worlds, rich worlds with good soil and clean water. In return, we protect you from other threats in this part of the galaxy. The Vrex representative made clicking sounds. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal scraping against metal. The hive mind requires workers. Human children learn quickly. They would serve well in our colonies. Amanda wrote something on her paper. Her hand was steady, and her face showed no emotion. You want us to give you our worlds and our children. In return, you promise not to attack us. Is that correct? You make it sound harsh, said another alien, one that looked like a giant lizard with purple scales. Think of it as joining a family, a strong family that protects its weaker members. Lisa watched Amanda carefully. She knew that look in her commander's eyes. It was the same look Amanda got when she was solving a difficult puzzle. But her voice remained as soft as ever. I see, Amanda said. And if we refuse this generous offer? Kethvar smiled, showing teeth that could bite through metal. Then you would be on your own in a dangerous galaxy. Many things could happen to a species that has no protection. Like what happened to the Centauri colonies last year? Amanda asked quietly. The room became very quiet. The Centauri had been a peaceful species, much like humans. They had refused to join the Zephyrian Empire. 3 months later, their worlds were attacked by unknown raiders. The Centauri government was destroyed, and their people were scattered across the galaxy. Sad what happened to them, Kethvar said. If they had accepted our protection, they would still be alive today. Amanda nodded slowly. Yes, very sad. Tell me, War Prime Kethvar, how long did you spend planning this meeting? The question seemed to surprise him. Planning? We sent a message. You came. What planning was needed? Oh, I think there was quite a bit of planning, Amanda said. Her voice was still gentle, but Lisa noticed something different about it. For example, someone had to decide which species would make which demands. Someone had to choose which weapons to bring to intimidate us. Someone had to coordinate the fleet movements to make sure we felt properly threatened. The aliens looked at each other. They had not expected the quiet human to notice so much. You talk like you think we are trying to trick you, said the Korthak leader. We are being honest about what we want. Yes, you are, Amanda agreed. And I appreciate honesty. It makes things much simpler. She closed her folder and looked around the table. Since we are being honest, let me share something with you. The Terran Federation has also done some planning for this meeting. Kethvar laughed. Planning? You brought 3 small ships against our fleet of 200. What kind of planning? Is that? Amanda smiled. It was a small smile, but Lisa saw something in it that made her very glad she was on Amanda's side. The kind of planning that accounts for every possibility, Amanda said softly, including the possibility that these talks might not go well. The room fell silent again. The aliens looked at the small human woman who spoke so quietly, and for the first time, some of them wondered if they had made a mistake. Outside the station, the Zephyrian fleet waited in perfect formation, confident in their strength. They did not know that in the darkness between the stars, other ships were moving. Ships that had been waiting for this moment for weeks. Amanda Clark folded her hands on the table and continued to speak in her gentle voice, while the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The second day of talks began with bad news. War Prime Kethvar walked into the conference room with a smile that showed all his sharp teeth. His golden armor caught the light as he moved, and his yellow eyes glowed with satisfaction. The other, alien leaders followed behind him, all looking pleased with themselves. Amanda Clark sat in her chair reading from a small tablet. Her face was calm, and her voice was soft as always when she greeted them. "Good morning, everyone. I hope you all rested well." "We rested very well," Kethvar said. His deep voice filled the room. "We received excellent news from home during the night." Lisa Hayes stood near the wall watching everything. She noticed that the aliens seemed more confident today. They sat straighter in their chairs and talked louder than before. Something had changed, and she did not like it. "Oh?" Amanda said, not looking up from her tablet. "What kind of news?" Kethvar pulled out a communication device and placed it on the table. "Perhaps you would like to hear for yourself." He pressed a button, and a voice came from the device. It spoke in the Zephyrian language, but the computer translated it into human words. The voice was excited and proud. "War Prime, the attack on the human colony of New Haven was a complete success. The orbital defenses were destroyed in the first hour. The cities are burning. Casualties are estimated at over 2 million humans. The survivors are begging for mercy." Amanda stopped reading. She looked up from her tablet with the same calm expression she always wore. "New Haven," she said quietly. "Yes," Kethvar said. "A beautiful world, I am told. Rich farms and clean cities. It was well defended, but not well enough. My fleet commanders tell me it will make an excellent addition to our empire." The other, aliens, made sounds of approval. The Korthak leader growled with pleasure. The Vrex clicked their approval. The lizard-like creature hissed with joy. Lisa felt her hand move toward her weapon, but Amanda raised one finger slightly. It was a small movement, but Lisa understood. "Not yet. 2 million people," Amanda said. Her voice was still soft, but something in it made the room feel colder. "Men, women, and children. Farmers and teachers and doctors. The weak always suffer when the strong decide to act," Kethvar said. "But you can prevent more suffering. Accept our terms and no more human worlds will burn." Amanda nodded slowly. "I see, and what are your final terms?" Kethvar leaned back in his chair. "Half of all human territory becomes ours. Your military surrenders all weapons to us. Human children between the ages of 5 and 15 are given to the Vrex to work in their colonies. All human adults become workers for the Empire." "Slavery," Amanda said. "Service," the lizard creature corrected. "Honored service to a greater cause." Amanda put down her tablet and folded her hands on the table. "And if we refuse?" "Then more worlds burn," Kethvar said. "Every day you delay, another human colony dies. We have the ships and the weapons, you have nothing but words." Lisa watched Amanda carefully. Her commander's face had not changed, but there was something different about her now. The air in the room felt heavy, like the moment before a storm. "You are right," Amanda said quietly. "I do have only words, but words have power, War Prime Kethvar. Sometimes they have more power than ships or weapons." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small communication device of her own. It was different from the alien one, smaller and more advanced. "Lisa," Amanda said, her voice still gentle. "Please contact Captain Morrison. Tell him that the Zephyrian Empire has made their position clear." Lisa pressed a button on her own device. "Captain Morrison, this is Commander Hayes. Dr. Clark requests immediate communication." A moment later, Jake Morrison's voice came through the speaker. "This is Morrison. Go ahead, Dr. Clark." Amanda picked up the device. When she spoke, Her voice was as soft as ever, but every word was clear and sharp. Captain Morrison, the Zephyrian Empire has attacked New Haven Colony during peace talks. 2 million civilians are dead. They have also presented us with terms that amount to the complete surrender and enslavement of humanity. Understood, Morrison said. What are your orders? The aliens looked at each other. Something was wrong. The human woman was too calm, too sure of herself. Execute Operation Thunder, Amanda said quietly. Kethvar stood up suddenly. What is Operation Thunder? Amanda looked at him with eyes that were still blue and calm, but now they seemed to look right through him. War Prime Kethvar, you made an error in your planning. You assumed that because I speak softly, I am weak. You assumed that because humanity prefers peace, we are helpless in war. Lisa smiled for the first time since the talks began. She knew what was coming. You also assumed, Amanda continued, that 3 escort ships were all the military force we brought to this meeting. The lights in the room suddenly changed color. Red warning lights began to flash, and alarms started to sound throughout the station. The computer's voice spoke in calm, mechanical tones. Alert. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Alert. Fleet-sized formations approaching from all directions. Kethvar ran to the window. What he saw made his yellow eyes go wide, with shock. Ships were appearing out of hyperspace all around the station. Not 3 ships, but hundreds. Sleek human destroyers and massive battleships dropped out of faster-than-light travel like wolves surrounding prey. The Zephyrian fleet, which had seemed so large and powerful, was suddenly outnumbered 3-1. The human ships moved with precision, taking positions that cut off all escape routes. Impossible, Kethvar whispered. Our intelligence said you only had 3 ships. Amanda stood up slowly. She was still shorter than every alien in the room, but somehow she seemed to fill the space around her. Your intelligence was exactly what we wanted you to see. She walked to the window and looked out at the battle formations taking shape in space. The Federation has been preparing for this meeting for months. We hoped for peace, but we planned for war. The Korthak leader snarled and reached for his weapon. Lisa was faster. Her gun was in her hand and pointed at his head before he could clear his holster. I would not recommend that, Amanda said without turning around. Commander Hayes has very quick reflexes, and she does not like it when people threaten me. The alien slowly moved his hand away from his weapon. Around the table, the other species sat very still. Amanda turned back to face them. Now then, let me tell you about Operation Thunder. It is named after an old human saying. Thunder is the sound that lightning makes. By the time you hear thunder, the lightning has already struck. She walked back to her chair and sat down. The lightning War Prime Kethvar was your attack on New Haven. The thunder is what happens next. Outside the window, the human fleet finished moving into position. Weapons powered up and targeting systems locked onto every Zephyrian ship. In the distance, more human vessels continued to arrive. Amanda picked up her communication device again. Captain Morrison, you may proceed. With pleasure, Dr. Clark, came the reply. The war was about to begin, and it would be nothing like what the aliens expected. The space around the station filled with light as weapons fired. Human ships moved like dancers in a deadly ballet, their movements planned and perfect. The Zephyrian fleet, caught off guard and surrounded, tried to fight back, but they were no longer the hunters. Now they were the prey. Amanda Clark sat at the conference table, watching the battle through the window. Her voice remained soft as she spoke into her communication device. Admiral Chen, focus on the command ships first. Disable their communications. Already on it, Dr. Clark, came the reply. The enemy flagship is taking heavy damage. War Prime Kethvar pressed his face against the window, watching his great fleet being torn apart. His golden armor no longer seemed bright. It looked dull and beaten in the flashing lights of the battle. This is impossible, he said. We had 200 ships. We are the strongest military force in this part of the galaxy. Amanda looked at him with calm blue eyes. You were the strongest force yesterday. Today you learned that humans do not show all their cards at once. The Korthic leader growled and slammed his fist on the table. You tricked us. You pretended to be weak. No, Amanda said quietly. We gave you every chance to choose peace. You chose war instead. The blood of 2 million humans on New Haven is on your hands, not ours. Lisa Hayes watched the aliens carefully. They were starting to panic. Some were trying to contact their ships, but human jammers blocked their signals. Others were looking at the doors, thinking about running, but there was nowhere to go. How many ships do you have out there? Asked the lizard creature. His purple scales had turned gray with fear. Amanda touched her communication device again. Captain Morrison, please give us a status report. Jake Morrison's voice came through clearly. We have 423 ships in the immediate area. The 1st, 3rd, and 7th fleets plus Colonial Defense Forces. More ships are arriving every 10 minutes. The aliens stared at Amanda in shock. 400 ships was more than the entire Zephyrian Empire had ever assembled in one place. But your intelligence reports, Kethvar said weakly. We studied your military for years. You only have small patrol fleets. Amanda smiled. It was not a cruel smile, but it was not kind either. Our intelligence reports were designed to make you think exactly that. We have been preparing for this day since your empire first started expanding toward human space. She stood up and walked to a wall screen. With a few touches, she brought up a map of the galaxy. Red dots showed the locations of human fleets. Every major trade route is now blocked, she said in her gentle voice. Every Zephyrian supply line is cut. Your homeworlds are surrounded. This is not just a battle, War Prime Kethvar. This is the end of your empire. The Vrex representative made frantic clicking sounds. But we can negotiate. We can make a deal. The time for deals was yesterday, Amanda said. Before you murdered 2 million innocent people. Before you demanded that we surrender our children to slavery. She turned back to face the table. However, I am not without mercy. Any species that surrenders immediately will be treated according to human laws of war. Your people will be prisoners, but they will be alive. Kethvar tried to stand tall, but his shoulders sagged with defeat. And if we refuse to surrender? Amanda's voice became very quiet, so quiet that everyone had to lean forward to hear her. Then you will discover why the Federation chose me for this mission. Not because I am their best diplomat, but because I am the person they trust to do what must be done when diplomacy fails. Lisa had heard stories about Amanda's past, but she had never seen this side of her commander. The gentle woman who read poetry and spoke softly to everyone was still there. But now Lisa could see the warrior underneath. Tell me about New Avalon, Lisa said suddenly. The aliens looked confused, but Amanda's eyes found Lisa's across the room. New Avalon was a mining colony, Amanda said. Pirates attacked it while I was stationed there as a young officer. They wanted the rare metals we were mining. They also wanted to take the colonists as slaves. Her voice stayed soft, but the room seemed to grow colder as she spoke. I was the only military officer on the planet. 3,000 civilians, and just me to protect them. The pirates had 12 ships and over 1,000 fighters. Kethvar was listening now despite himself. What did you do? The lizard creature asked. I spoke to them softly, just like I am speaking to you now, Amanda said. I explained that they should leave. I told them that attacking innocent people was wrong. I offered them safe passage if they would go away. And did they listen? Asked the Vrex. Amanda shook her head. No. They laughed at me. They said that one small human could not stop them. They said I was weak because I asked instead of fighting. She walked back to the window and looked out at the space battle. Human ships were winning easily now. The Zephyrian formation was broken and scattered. So I stopped asking, Amanda said. I took control of the planetary defense system and used it to destroy 8 of their ships in the first 5 minutes. Then I contacted their leader and spoke to him in the same soft voice I always use. What did you say? Kethvar asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know. I told him that he had 2 choices, Amanda said. He could surrender his remaining ships and his crew would live as prisoners, or he could continue fighting, and I would hunt down every pirate in his fleet, until none of them were left. The room was completely silent except for the sound of explosions from outside. He chose to keep fighting, Amanda continued. It took me 6 hours to prove that I was not making an empty threat. When it was over, the colonists were safe, and the pirate fleet was nothing but debris floating in space. She turned away from the window and looked at each alien in turn. That was 15 years ago, she said. I have gotten much better at what I do since then. Her communication device buzzed. She answered it calmly. Yes, Admiral Chen. The enemy fleet is broken, Dr. Clark. We have captured 67 ships and destroyed 93. The rest are trying to run, but we have them surrounded. Casualties on our side? Minor damage to 3 ships. No deaths. Amanda nodded. Thank you, Admiral. Begin rescue operations for enemy survivors. She looked at the aliens around the table. This is your last chance to surrender. I am offering you mercy that you did not offer the people of New Haven. One by one, the alien leaders bowed their heads in defeat. The great Zephyrian Empire, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was finished. Kethvar was the last to surrender. You could have done this from the beginning. Why did you try to make peace first? Amanda's answer came in the same soft voice she had used throughout everything. Because peace is always better than war. Because every life has value, even yours. Because the strongest person is not the one who wins every fight, but the one who prevents fights from happening. She gathered her papers and prepared to leave. But when someone forces me to fight, I make sure it is the last fight they ever start. The war was over, and Amanda Clark had spoken softly all the way through it.